Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is it really true? Is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show. Guys, everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass. Because, guys, 32 years ago I was a dumbass. But today, 32 years later, through the grace of God, I can honestly say now I'm a smartass. Yes, the word ass is in the Bible at least 40 times, and it means donkey, and that's what I was. I'm saying all that to say this, guys. You know, we've had the roughest few years of our lives all over the world, not just here. And unfortunately, too many people left us, and a lot through addiction, including family and friends of mine. So I want everyone out there to know that someone is listening. I'm a nutritional health coach, and I'm also a recovery coach. So please know you can reach out to me. All my services to you are free. And if you think my book can help someone, I think it can, guys. So go to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Archway Publishing, BAM, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. You can go to my website, www.geripetito.com, and please subscribe to the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel. And listen, if you really could use my book and you really, truly cannot afford it, please reach out to me about that as well. I want to give a shout out to a few of my sponsors. Okay, guys, so Michael D'Amore, okay, he's one of the greatest singers in the world under Elvis. I always tell him, right under Elvis, baby. Go to his website, www.michaeldamore.com. For $1.99, you can download his songs. He's now the new lead singer of the Capris. The guy is off the charts, I kid you not. Okay, so Brian Buckinfuso. Everyone in Mercer County knows him as Bucky. He's a retired Robbinsville police officer. He's running for Mercer County Sheriff. I've known this guy since forever, okay? He's like family. And I'm here to let you know we need Bucky in the seat. We've done commercials for him and everything here at Hamilton Radio, okay? Bucky for Sheriff, Mercer County. Come on, guys. And Anthony Hudson, presidential candidate 2024. People before politics. He's running as nonpartisan, guys. I don't usually get involved with politics, but I made an exception for these two guys. So this year, a few months back, my producer Ruben and I met Anthony Hudson and his staff in Yuma, Arizona at the borders. We went to all the borders. We went to the ones that were illegal. We went to the legal ones. We spent 5 days there with Border Patrol, the Sheriff Department, and Anthony, and let me tell you something. It changed my life. Okay? A lot of you don't know this about me, but I've traveled all over the world, and in the 80s I was in Russia when it was communist and had guns pointed at me at the wall. Okay, and I was also at the China Wall and I had guns pointed at me as well. And that's okay with me because I always felt like we have to do something if we want to change things, not just complain. I've also protested recently, right before COVID, with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in Trenton, New Jersey for our constitutional rights. So I'm saying all that to say this. Listen, guys, this gets me upset. Everybody wants to just sit there and complain. Do something. I don't care what party you're affiliated with. I don't care. You have that right. Just get off your butts and do something that you want to see a change, right? Don't just complain, all right? So I'm saying that because I care about what's going on in this world. So, okay, everybody? So Anthony Hudson for president. And last but not least, SOS4, the number 4 life, okay? www.sos4life.org. This is an incredible website. You have to go to it because what they do is they help all children in need. So please check out their website as well. So, guys, you know I always bring it, right? So, listen, I am really bringing it today. First off, let me introduce my guest co-host, Justin Drummond. Say hello to everybody.
Hey everyone, it's really good to be back, and I am absolutely really excited for this interview. I think this is going to be my favorite one yet.
Okay, listen. I think I might be right on the same page with you. Okay, I'm going to give you the honors, Justin, since you brought this beautiful woman here. I'm going to give you the honors of introducing her properly.
Okay, so if you have watched the interviews that I haven't done with Jerry, we always are after the biggest guests. We've recently interviewed a Guinness Book of World Record holder on Damon Looks, and I had to bring another one. This is Fran Capo, the world's fastest talking comedian. Person. But not only that, she is a couple of other holds a bunch of other world records. She is a comedian, motivational speaker, author, and she really loves nothing but great adventure around the world. Fran Capo, how you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Doing really good. So this is really cool. Fran, did he say your last name properly?
Yeah, it's Capo, like head of the mob. Capo,
Okay,
Capo.
there you go, Capo.
Yeah, not
Okay.
Capo like the guitar players. Yeah.
Yep, he knew. I was just making sure. All right.
Yeah.
So, Fran, first of all, I want to thank you for honoring us with this interview today. And Justin, of course, thank you for bringing her.
Thank you, guys.
I've been waiting for this interview because you crack me up. All right? So, you're actually known as the fastest talking woman in the world?
Yes, I am the Guinness Book of World Records fastest talking woman, clocked at 603.32 words a minute, which comes out to 11 words a second. But I broke the record twice. And the way that I got the record is that as you mentioned, Dustin, I am a stand-up comic. So I was working at a radio station, WBLS FM in New York City, and I was writing comedy for them. And kidding around one day, I said I could do a really cool Mae West impression, but I called the character June East, Mae West's long-lost sister. So all of a sudden, the guy throws the weather and traffic copy at me. And if you know, obviously in radio or on podcasting, you can't have dead air. So I look up and I'm like, oh, today the weather and traffic is. And in the 30 seconds I happened to do it, a lady from the Daily News was listening. And she calls the station and she goes, listen, I'm doing a story on weather and traffic, people. How long you been doing it? Well, I didn't want to tell her 30 seconds. So I said, oh, I've been doing it a while. So she said, well, what are you planning on doing next? But I didn't have a next, but I had a lady from the Daily News. So I said, oh, I'm thinking of breaking a world record. And she goes, really, for what? But I didn't have a for what. I was just saying that. I said, oh, I can't tell you because it's going to jinx it. She goes, listen, my article goes in at 6 o'clock today. If you want, call me back and let me know. So I run out and buy a Guinness book. And I'm looking through, what can I do? Pogo thing. And I see talking. I'm like, people always told me I talk fast. So I called Guinness, said, what do you have to do? They said something from the Shakespeare of the Bible. So I said, okay, I'm doing a gig that night. It was 6 o'clock. And I had to go on stage. And I'm like, should I call this lady? She said by 6. I call up. I said, all right, listen, I'll tell you. I'm thinking of breaking the world record for fast talking. So she goes, what's the record at? I had no idea. So I'm looking at the book. I go, oh, the record is 552 words a minute. She goes, what are you at? I went, 550. The last 2 words are a killer. So she prints it in the paper. And the very next day, the Larry King Live people call me up and ask me to go on show and break the record. So to be honest with you, I didn't know who Larry King was. So I heard cable and I went, is this some kind of porn? And they're like, honey, no, this is a national show. I said, what if I don't break the record? They said, Larry doesn't care whether you break the record or not. He just cares that you try it on his show. So now I call Guinness back. I said, what do you have to do to break the world record? They tell me something from Shakespeare in the Bible. I practiced. They had a limo come to my house. I had 3 hours to practice. And I went on his show and broke the record doing 585 words a minute. And then I rebroke it at the Guinness Museum in Vegas doing 603.32 words a minute. And that's how I got
Hold that. So
Yeah.
so that was for 1 minute you had to do it, right?
For 1 minute, I had to either do something from Shakespeare.
So can you do for us the 1 minute that got you the record?
I mean, I can do it, but you're not. Okay, this is what I'll do. I'll give you a sample of
Yes.
it. And simply because when they do the record, they had a machine called the lexicon.
No, just give
compressor.
us a sample. Yeah.
Just to do a sample, yeah.
Yeah.
But just so you know, the record is a complicated record. It's not just a matter of just speaking fast. They have a machine called the lexicon compressor that takes the word, slows it down, but doesn't distort it like a tape recorder. Then they have an Olympic timer, time you to the 100th of a second. And then they have a speech analyst analyze every single syllable, because you miss even one syllable, the entire record is null and void.
All
Okay.
right, just a sample.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I did to break the world record. And at the end of the show, I'll do a piece that I do in my stand-up at performance speed.
Right.
So this is that world record speed.
Okay.
So I call, this is the 91st Psalm. So I'm going to do it once slow, and then I'll do it twice fast. Okay, so once slow is... He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of my Lord, He's my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Okay, that's slow.
That was
okay?
slow?
That was slow. All right, ready? Now I'm going to do it twice fast. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I say of my Lord, is my refuge and fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I say of my Lord, is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. There you go.
Okay.
And that's why a machine has to slow it down and make sure everything is
So
down.
wait, Justin, I know you're biting at the bits, but I am too. Hold on. Listen, you'll have your turn, Justin, I promise. So wait, Fran, that was insane crazy. Okay. When you did it slow, I'm cracking up laughing going, are you kidding me? That's super fast. All right. So now I am so glad you explained it to us, because that makes so much sense that they have to really know how to make sure you are saying those words exact. That's brilliant.
Because anybody could be saying blah, 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 blah,
That's right.
and you wouldn't know it. And the thing is, and that's why it was funny, because I was doing a show for somebody and they said, oh no, do the show at world record speed. I go, nobody's going to understand it. And if I put jokes in it, people are going to just think I'm doing it. And it's always, I have to explain it, because if I don't go as fast as people think, then they go, oh, well, rappers are faster than you. Yeah. And I'm like, you have to understand that there is a performance speed and a world record speed. World record is simply just to break the world record. Performance speed is so people go, that's fast, but they can understand what I'm saying. I mean, if you want, I could do it now. I do this thing called Evelyn Wood reading or kids a bedtime story. I could do it now or at the end of the show. It's up to
wait,
you.
hold that thought. Okay, I want you to do it now and maybe something else at the end, but hold that thought. I have a question. And then after she does that, Justin, then the mic is yours. I was laughing when you said it was either going to be something from the Bible or Shakespeare. And I'm saying in my head, if she was smart, man, she'd do the Bible, because then God's got her back. She'll break this record. Okay?
Okay, now wait. Now I want to tell you something. The reason I chose that psalm, it's the 91st Psalm. It's the protection prayer.
There you go.
And I was like, listen, I could do Shakespeare. He's dead. He's not helping me out. God's up there.
That's what I'm thinking
this
too,
girl
okay?
is saying the prayer over and over and over again.
Oh my God. All right. Do another thing first, and then Justin, the mic is yours.
Okay, I'll do the Three Little Pigs, but then at the end, I mean, I would have to find something else to do, because these are the two I have memorized. I don't have another one memorized.
Oh, all
so
right. It's okay.
I'll do.
Yeah, she's talking about the Three Little Pigs, like the children's story.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll do that one. If you want me to do it now, I'll do it now. So I'll go, okay, kids, mommy's going to read you the Three Little Pigs. Once upon a time, there were three little pigs. One little pig liked to sing, the second little pig liked to dance, and the third little pig liked to sit and think. Then a big both come. Little pig, let me in. Not big, chin, chin, chin. Huffing about, one south, you puff. Listen, next big sound. Little pig, let me in. Not big, chin, chin, chin. Soft, you puff. What's the third big house? Little big, let me in. Not big, chin, chin, chin. Tufty puff. Like this made a plan on the chimney. Big set of pot of boiling water. The wolf will kneel with soup. Tomorrow, war and peace. There you go.
Now do it slow.
No, that was slow. That was
that
performance
was slow?
speed.
Oh my God, Fran, you.
All right. Now you're going to do it fast?
No, that was that. I don't mean slow. That was my performance.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, now I get what you're saying. That was unbelievable. How do you do that?
Well, they actually, because a lot of people wanted the broker section of your brain actually controls speech. So the Discovery Channel asked me to go there. I've done over 5,000 radio and TV shows, but the Discovery Channel asked me to go, and they wanted to do a whole thing on my brain. So they go there and they actually did put a EEG on my head, and they made me read something, then say it fast, then say it slow, then close my eyes and say it. And they were trying to test all things. And so they were monitoring my brain when I did it. And they said that when I did it, the broker section of my brain looked like volcanic activity. And when I am talking and at that speed, it's almost like I see, like the ticker tapes, like in Times Square, like where the words go quick. It's almost like I'm seeing the words going by. And then they analyzed my speech patterns and stuff. And so they determined that, well, the name of the show was called More Than Human. And they're like, oh, Miss Capo, you're more than human, whatever. But the thing is, the brain has to work at a certain speed to be able to do that. Now, there were some shows that wanted to try to numb my vocal cord. I'm like, we're not numbing my vocal cords. We're not doing any of that stuff. You're not touching the inside. You're not poking around in my head. I said, we can analyze the speech and we're good at that, So.
All right, Justin, and then I do have another question. Justin, take the mic.
Yeah, so I was just kind of thinking, because I've been listening to this what you've been saying for a while. It's like, do you remember the very first time where you kind of figured this could actually I could actually break the record? Like, I don't know, I'm not talking about the day that you were actually called to
That was the day, Justin. I never thought about it before.
You
it
never
was never in my mind, I'm going to try to break a world record. The opportunity presented itself with the Daily News lady going, what are you going to do? Kidding around, I said, break a world record. I didn't think it was going to go to anything. And then when she said, for what? I was like, I said, I can't tell you, simply because I didn't have anything in my mind.
Yeah,
so then I looked in the Guinness book and I'm like, well, I don't pogo stick. I don't bungee jump. I don't fast talking. People said I talk fast. I'll give it a shot. Because in my mind, one of my philosophies of my 7 world record mindsets is just say yes and figure it out later. And I figured, what's the worst that happens? The worst that happens is I go on national TV and make a fool of myself. And the best that happens is I break a world record. My entire life has been lived by that philosophy of just say yes and figure it out later. Because not that anybody likes to fail, but if I do, so what? You know what? How many people only see the success of people. They don't realize how many times they failed before they had a successful business, or how many times a runner didn't make the time until he finally made the time, in his running pace. So you don't see the backstory of somebody. And my backstory has always been, no, I'll just say yes. If it happens, it does. And if it doesn't, so what? I move on.
So you had no idea that you could talk fast
no, absolutely not. Every single world record I've broken, with the exception of the TEDx one, because I've broken 10 world records, has always been some opportunity came up, and then I was like, all right, we'll give it a shot. We'll break a world record.
What's funny is, that was the question I was going to ask. What's funny is Mae West, okay? I always lived by, she always said this, and this was amazing to me growing up. I'll never forget this. She said, I'd rather be looked over than overlooked. So, and I've never in my life, I live with the same philosophy. Okay, I did bungee jump. Yeah, I did bungee jump, and I took my kid. She was a teenager. My mother said, if she don't come home, you're done. And I brought her to jump off the first bridge. A.J. Hackett did his first bridge, okay? We went to New Zealand, and she didn't want to jump, and they said, hook her up to you. I said, I came here to frickin' jump. I'm not going to jump if my kid's attached to me. So we hooked her up to a woman who was on her honeymoon because her husband was scared. So my daughter will tell you, she's 42 now, she'll tell you to this day, I didn't really jump, she goes, I just held on. So she but I'm like,
what? It's the same philosophy, because my son Spencer grew up with me. He did stand up. Again, everything is in the just say yes philosophy. Yes. So when I was married and then I got divorced when my son was 8 months old, and I didn't want to be an absentee mom, but comedy, you're on the road. So a lot of times my mom would come on the road with me, and if not, I would call the other comic if I knew them and say, hey, just for the 30 minutes I'm on stage, can you just watch my son, like in the seat? And I would go on. So the way my son, and he doesn't do stand-up anymore, but I was performing at the Tropicana in Vegas, and he was 2 years old, and he was backstage, and he had a very good vocabulary at 2, and he goes, Mommy, I want to go on stage. And I'm like, it took me 5 years to get to Vegas. I said, you think the first show you're doing is in Vegas? And then the manager said, no, let him do it. So I taught him 3 little like impressions. And then I was like, ladies and gentlemen, we thought it was the end of the show, but we have one person coming up who's going to do a small guest spot. And then this little 2-year comes out. I put him on a chair and he wound up doing it. And I've always told my son, I don't want to hear no such word as can't. It's you won't. Oh, I can't lose weight. Really? How many donuts did you have for breakfast? It's not that you can't. It's that you won't put in the effort to do what you got to do. Oh, I can't make money no matter what I do. Study some books. Follow people who do it. There is a way to do things, and you never follow the advice of those people who go, oh, that's not possible, because obviously those people live in the negative world.
That's right.
You have to follow the people that live in the positive world and don't take anything as a stopping point, and again, you live by your own, like I think of life, if I'm in a race, I don't care who's in the lane next to me in the right or the left. I just got to do better than I do. They run their own race. I just got to be running better than I ran yesterday. I got to run my own race in my own lane.
I have a question, and then you'll take the mic, Justin. I have a question. So did they love your son? Did they go crazy?
Yes, and then he wound up doing stand-up. And I'll tell you this other story.
Yep.
He wound up doing stand-up up until he was like 9, 10, and he did a bunch of TV shows. He did Geraldo. So I'll tell you this one story that was funny, again, with the Just Say Yes. So he got in the paper a lot. I managed to get a lot of press. So he got in the paper, in the New York Times, Daily News, the New York Post, because I lived in New York then, as the world's youngest comic. And then he actually wound up getting honored a proclamation from the city of New York being the world's youngest comic. So anyway, I get a call out of the blue. At this point, he was, I think he was like 6 or 7 years old. And the Conan O'Brien show calls. And they go, hey, we hear your son's the world's youngest comic. Does he do ventriloquism? He did not. But I said, yeah. And so they go, oh, really? I said, yeah. So then my son's not in the room yet. And they go, all right, we'll call you back. So they called back and they said, well, listen, does he do ventriloquism and can he sing? I said, absolutely. At this point, my son walks in. He goes, Mom, I don't sing. I go, shh. So then they said they're going to call back. And Spencer's like, what are you doing, Mom? I said, listen, first of all, I have a ventriloquist doll. I have friends that are ventriloquists. We'll call up. We'll find out how you do the ventriloquist. We'll practice it a little. And if it sings off key, who cares? It's the dummy. They'll blame it on the doll.
That's right.
You. So then they call back and they go, can he sing like he's in the choir? I go, absolutely. So now it's late at night. It's like 5, 6 o'clock. And they go, oh, we need him to audition. I go, oh, I was in Queens at the time. And obviously everything was in Manhattan. I said, well, when do you need him to audition? They said, now. I said, oh, I'm like an hour and a half away from you. They go, no. Over the phone. Now, remember, there were no phones like we have now. This is years ago. So I go, you want him to do a ventriloquist audition over the phone? And they said, yeah. I said, hold on. I hold the thing. I'm thinking to myself, that's like asking a mime to send an audio tape. So I say to Spencer, move your lips. It's over the phone. They'll never know. So he does this whole thing over the phone. They go, that's amazing. And they hire him. And and Spencer goes, Mom, what if Conan O'Brien comes up and says how long you've been doing it? I said, listen, you say to him, I'm 6 years old. It feels like my entire life. Yeah. I go, he just answered. So they had this whole thing with all these professional ventriloquists. We're all standing. There was like 20 of them. And Spencer was behind in a little pilgrim outfit. And they were singing. And at one point, the ventriloquists go like this. And Spencer with his little ventriloquist doll in his pilgrim outfit comes out and makes his doll sing. And usually Conan O'Brien doesn't go over to anybody. And he went over to Spencer. That's amazing. And Spencer goes, Ma, I go, Spence, if you do it with confidence, and as long as nobody could get hurt, like I would never say I'm a doctor and do an operation.
Of course,
but,
come on.
You know what I mean? But if you do it with confidence, I said, you can do it. And plus the thing is, when a door opens, walk through it.
I love that. Justin, take the mic, kid.
Oh my God! Like that was really incredible. I never really thought of it that way. Like when someone asks can you do something, like I would have instantly said no. I would have instantly said no.
Yeah.
Um,
The
Justin,
thing is, most
Justin,
people instantly say no, but I learned to really, I mean, I knew this as a gut thing because of the just say yes and figure it out later. But I was with Barbara Cochran. You guys know who Barbara Cochran
yeah,
is?
of course.
Okay. So me and her were hired to do a speaking engagement, but I didn't know her at the time. She wasn't on Shark Tank or anything yet, but she still had her real estate empire. And we're behind the scenes, and there's a girl up front, and everybody's asking, "What is your dream?" Blah blah blah. And then the girl said, "Oh, my dream is to make $100,000, and then I'll be happy." And Barbara looked at me and she goes, "People don't realize it's not money that makes you happy. It's all your state of mind. Of course, money makes you more comfortable, not happy." And then so when she was there, she goes, "People don't realize when I got asked to be CEO, I was never a CEO before. I mean, before you're something, you were never it. So you either have to have the confidence in yourself to say, all right, I was never a CEO, but I have the confidence that I can figure this out," and you step up to the plate. You have to have the confidence in yourself. And how do you get the confidence in yourself? Is by trying new things and always saying, "Well, I'm pretty good at that. I'm not good at that." And also when I say know your limits, I don't mean your limits of what you've never done before. I mean your limits of how hard you're willing to try to make that thing they're asking you to do successful.
Fran, I want to share something about Justin with you. So, this is amazing. This is amazing for him to hear. This is amazing for him to hear from you, and I'm going to tell you why. Years ago, I think it was like maybe 2016, he reached out to me and said he'd like to get me some guests for my radio shows, and I said, sure, but you're going to be part of them. And he was like, what, me? And I was like, yep. So I had a T-shirt made, a cartoon of him, is this mic on, that kind of thing. And his mom drove him to our other 3 studios ago, to the studio, and I put him right next to me in the chair. And I said, you want to get me guests? You are going to be co-hosting every single one with me. And he's like, but I've never done that. I said, you're going to do it. And this is why. Justin, tell Fran and everyone else about you.
Okay, yeah. So before I was working with Geri, I was a booking agent and a talent recruiter for another radio station who does all independent music, and I never really had the confidence to do it especially because of what I've been going through. I have Asperger's syndrome, which is a high functioning autism, and I never really been good with conversations. Especially when you're put on the spot, and I honestly never really thought I would do it. I thought I was gonna get on the show, and I thought that I was sorry. There's a fly. Sorry.
I saw it. Don't worry.
Yeah, but I thought that I was just gonna mess up the whole conversation, go off topic. I was afraid that I was gonna stutter a little bit. But I actually have been really blown away with the response that I've been getting, and Fran, I definitely got to say that's exactly how I'm definitely going to look at things now. So thank you.
You're welcome. And you know what? Here's the thing. You also have to look when you are scared to do something and then you step up to the plate, you become a role model for everybody else who's scared, who might be in the same situation as you, because they're like, if he could do it, then maybe I could do it. And it's that whole thing. And also, I say, I don't care where you are in life, no matter what happens to you, never, ever, ever have a victim mentality. Because if you have a victim mentality, then it's always poor me. But if you have as Joel Osteen says, a victor mentality, all right, I've never done this, I'm scared. And this is the thing. I do these crazy things, Justin. And my son, it was a couple of years ago, what do you want to do for Mother's Day? I want to go to Las Vegas, and both of us, I want to jump off the building. I want to jump off the stratosphere. So, yeah, right? And so Spencer's like, okay, Mom, of course you do. And so he did it. My husband and his wife didn't do it. They're more of the watch and video, whatever. But the thing is, when I was up there, my stomach was so nervous, and everybody goes, oh, you're fearless. I go, no. My philosophy is, fear nothing, but if you do it anyway. And because the person who fears something and doesn't do it goes through the same thing that a person who doesn't, like, if you fear it and then you do it, because the person who fears it and doesn't do it always fears it. Oh my God, I should have done that. I should have jumped off. Oh, I could have jumped off. Oh, maybe one day I'll jump off. But the person who fears it and does it just has that fear once. All right, I'm jumping off. I'm scared, but I'm jumping off. Then it's done. Now it's in your list of accomplishments. And each time you get a list of accomplishments, you feel better. Like, well, if I jumped off the building, then maybe now I could, and which I have become the first woman to zip line inside an active volcano. All right, I could do that. And so people go, oh, you live a crazy life. I go, you know what it is? Opportunity comes up. I take it. You did that, Justin. The opportunity came up. As scared as you were, you did it.
Yes, he did.
And now you do it.
Tell us, Fran, every record you broke. Tell us what they were, please.
Okay, so obviously you know the world records, the first one with the fast talking. So I broke that record twice.
Yep.
The first time was with the 585 words a minute, and the second time was 603.32 words a minute. And then I broke that at the Guinness Museum in Vegas. Then I did a book signing at the top of Kilimanjaro. And then I'll tell you the stories about the records, but I'll just tell you the records right now. I did a book signing at the top of Kilimanjaro. I did a book signing down by the wreck site of the Titanic. So I'm only one of 250 people to go down to the wreck site of the Titanic. I got a song from concept to national airplay within 24 hours. I went with 39 chiropractors to the Dominican Republic, and we saw 21,695 patients in 2 days. I did a TEDx talk in 18 minutes and then redid the entire talk in under a minute. I did, there's this guy that does this thing called Gazillion Bubbles, and he has the world's biggest bubbles, and that was a group record. I, stood inside one of the cubicle next to a Jacqueline Onassis lookalike. We were both over there. All celebrities were in this bubble before he burst it. And then, now I'm looking at my world records on my wall, just this, the book sign at the top of Kilimanjaro. Became the first woman to zip line inside an active volcano.
That's pretty cool, man. I've zip lined, but I would love to do that. Continue.
And wow, the Cairo mission, the fastest song to national airplay. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
So wait a
And then
minute.
there was, like,
Wait,
two
the
other
Titanic one. Wait, Justin, 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm so excited. The Titanic one. You don't
Let
mean?
me tell the Kilimanjaro, and then I'll tell you the
right.
Titanic, because they feed into
All right,
each
you
other.
do it. Tell us. Go ahead.
Okay. So what happened was I was writing one of my books. I've written 22 books. Okay. So I was writing one of my books called Adrenaline Adventures. And I wanted to make sure that one of the adventures that I was putting in there, that if I'm recommending people to go to it, it still existed. So I call up the guy and I'm like, hey, do you still do this rock climbing thing? And he goes, oh, not only do we do rock climbing, we do mountain climbing. And I said, well, all right, that's good. And he goes, well, you ever climb a mountain? I go, listen, I'm asking about the rock climb. No, but you ever climb a mountain? I'm right. All right, listen. And then he goes, so he mentions a mountain. And I go, listen, no offense, but if I'm climbing a mountain, I'm not climbing like Mount Bob. It's got to be a mountain I've heard of. So he goes, you heard of Kilimanjaro? I'm like, yeah, I've heard of Kilimanjaro. He goes, well, I know the guy that led the IMAX movie team up to the top of Kilimanjaro. So I said, well, I don't know. I'll see. So now I get off the phone with him and I look it up and I find out that an 83-year-old woman climbed Kilimanjaro. So I'm like, well, if an 83-year-old woman could do it, I could do it. Of course, I didn't realize she was in a wheelchair and got airlifted up there. So I was like,
That
so
was
now
scary enough for her, but continue.
Yeah, really. So then I run into my son's room. Spencer, guess what we're going to do? We're going to climb Kilimanjaro. And he's like, I don't even like to walk. I'm like, you're missing the point. The glaciers are going to melt by the year 2015. He's like, 2009, Mom, we got time. I'm like, Spence, wrong attitude. So now I say, what do you have to do to train? They said, well, you either have to climb a bunch of stairs, and I only lived in a 2-story house, or a bike ride. So we sign up for this 100-mile bike ride. I had never ridden. Spencer's like, what if the tire? I go, I don't know, Spence. Let's just keep pedaling until we run out of we'll be fine. So we do the bike ride. We do this thing. Now I call the people, and I said, he said, listen, you have to be careful because when you get to the top, you could run out of energy. So make sure you have like a certain snack. So I had just done something for Master Foods, the people that do Snickers and M&Ms. And so I called them up. I go, how'd you like to sponsor me to go to the top of Kilimanjaro? They go, when? I go, in 2 weeks. They go, oh, no, it's corporate. I go, listen, I'm leaving in 2 weeks. You want your candy bars up there? You got to make this happen in 2 weeks. So they did. And I get my first title sponsor. And now they're giving me shirts and this. And then I'm like, hey, maybe I could get the whole trip covered. So then I called Ripley's because I was not only in the Guinness book, I was in Ripley's. I said, how'd you like to have your book at the top of Kilimanjaro? I could do a book signing at the top of Kilimanjaro. They go, Fran, we can't support just one Ripley holder because then every Ripley's holder is going to want us to do it. I go, no. You're not sponsoring me. You're sponsoring your book. I'm just the vehicle to get your book up there, to say your book was at the top. So now, so then I get Ripley's as a sponsor. So then, so now I have these two, and I'm, going to go climb Kilimanjaro, and we're going to climb. We're practicing. It is, you think Kilimanjaro is Africa, Tanzania, hot. Okay, well, it's hot in the beginning, and there's 5 zones. And I asked the guy, what section of Kilimanjaro we're climbing? He goes, oh, we're going to do the Western Breach. I go, why? Is that the easiest one? He goes, no, it's the hardest one. I go, why would I do the hardest one? He goes, because you don't want to see people. And I know you're an adventurer. I go, yeah, I also don't want to die in the mountain. No, you'll be fine. I'm like, so nobody can be around, so if I roll off the mountain into a gravesite, I'll be okay? And he's like, no, don't worry. I'm like, okay. So now we're climbing. And I'm telling you, every day we're climbing We're climbing for 10 to 12 hours a day.
How many days?
5 days to get to the top.
So how much food did you bring? Only snacks?
No, not us, because they had 12 porters, the Maasai warriors, carry these big bags. I'm telling you, these people had watermelons with them. I'm like, who carries a watermelon up a mountain? So they're carrying watermelon, and they would walk ahead, get to the campsite, because there were 5 different campsites. We would be trekking up there, and by the time we got there, they had a whole spread of food out. I'm like, oh my God, and fresh water, because we had to boil the water every night, because you have to have fresh water. So what we would do is, as it gets closer to the top, it gets colder, and they said it might be 0 degrees. So we had our sleeping bags certified to 0 degrees. Well, the night of the summit, it turned out to be minus 15 degrees, 45-mile-an-hour winds. Now we're climbing, and they make you climb at midnight so that you get to the top at sunrise. And we're climbing, and my son's like, we're going to die. I'm like, we're not going to die. And he's like, Mom, we're going to die. I'm like, we're not going to die. And then I'm thinking, we're going to die. I mean, what was I thinking? So we get to the top, and then obviously sunrise, and then we have everybody lined up. I brought my books up there because I figured do a book signing at the top of Kilimanjaro. Why not? What else? So people would come up. I go, what else you doing? Buy a book. So they stood online, and I have a picture. Actually, I have a picture. I don't know if you can see this. If I do it real close, that picture there is me sitting down, and people lined up buying my books at the top of Kilimanjaro.
That's crazy.
How many people were there?
Well, it was just climbers, not the porters, and the thing. It was only 4 of us, me and my son, the guy that was the president of Stride Right Shoes, and his daughter. But then there were 20 Maasai warriors carrying the bags, the tents. We had to just carry our daily water and bug spray and things like that. And then there was the tour guide in front and a tour guide in back. So about
Justin,
25 of us, but 4 of us newbies.
So Justin.
Oh, wait, yeah. So anyway, so we get to the top, and then we do the book signing, and then my son got altitude sickness, and the only cure for altitude sickness is to quickly go down. So my son ran down with the Maasai warriors. They go, we never see a white boy run that fast. And he ran down the mountain with them.
So that's amazing. Justin, I'm sure you have another question. Okay? Come on.
I want to hear about like some of these other adventures that you've been on, like because I know that you've been to Kilimanjaro. I know you got like skydiving. Is there any like adventure that you did that kind of like stood out besides Kilimanjaro?
Well, yes. Okay, so obviously the Kilimanjaro, when that picture of me doing the book signing circulated around the world, I get an email out of the blue from Brian Day O'Connor, who I didn't realize then, but was Sandra Day O'Connor's son, the former U.S. Supreme Court Justice. So he said, I think it's amazing that you do this. I didn't know there was another spirit like this. P.S. I'm going down to the Titanic.
Yeah, I want to hear this. Come on.
So I was like, all right, this is an email. So I'm like, hey, any room for another person? And he goes, are you kidding? I go, I didn't know people could go down to the Titanic. I thought it was just the scientists. So he says, yeah, I'm going down with this operation, blah, blah, blah. So I call up and I go, well, what are the requirements? They go, there are 3 requirements. I go, what are they? Go, first of all, you can't have high blood pressure. I go, okay, what's the second one? You can't be claustrophobic. I said, why? They said the submersible is only 7 feet inside, so all your knees are touching. I said, well, what if somebody lies and say they're not claustrophobic? He goes, then we have to shoot them with a dart gun. I'm like, a dart gun? They said, yeah, we can't have people panicking inside. I said, well, what's the third thing? They said, you can't have excessive flatulence. You can't fart too much. And I said, why? They said, it's pure oxygen. If you fart too much, you could blow up the ship. I said, that is not the way I want to go out in life. But I didn't know how much farting was too much. So I look it up and I found out that the average person farts 18 times a day. So I started counting. When I got to 12 and it was bedtime, I said, you know what? I'm good. So now I was like, I should ask how much this cost. Well, at the time that I did it, now it's $250,000 if they ever do it again, since the unfortunate thing that happened with the Titan.
Right.
But when I did it, it was $35,000. I didn't have $35,000 spare change lying around. There was no GoFundMe thing. There was no spot. So I said, all right, I got to figure out if I could get a sponsor. So I called back the marathon people to see if they wanted to do it. They didn't do it. Ripley's did it. But then in the middle of the night, and this is what I say to people is very key. Whenever you have a goal, keep that goal in mind and always say, I say, you know, God, just guide me to get my goal. Show me the way and be open to everything. I'm over there midnight typing away and I see this bizarre article come up that this company, goldenpalace.com, just bought the rights to toast that look like Madonna. And there was this woman that was having triplets and said, whoever pays me the most can name one of the triplets. And they paid to name one of her triplets, goldenpalace.com. So I said, you know what? So I look up the owner of that company. It's like 1:00 in the morning. And I go, I just want to let you know that I think you're a marketing genius. And tomorrow morning, I'm going on the radio to talk about that I'm going to do a book signing down by the wreck site of the Titanic. And I'm going to say a prayer. Oh, I'll tell you that part later. I'll do a book signing down by the Titanic. And if you want to be my title sponsor, my radio show is at 10 o'clock. Call me before 9:50. Give me a handshake over the phone, and I will mention you in every publicity thing I do. They called me at 9:50. They became my title sponsor. And then I had the money to go down to the Titanic.
Wait, who was that again? Who was the sponsor?
goldenpalace.com.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
It's a gambling site.
Well,
It's
I'm a poker player.
Oh, okay, there you go. And Golden Palace, if you remember, I don't remember which Rocky movie it was, but there's where the girls in the ring are holding shirts. Golden Palace.
Oh, okay, yes. Oh,
yes.
Wow, that's so cool.
So anyway, so then, so now, now I have the money, we're going down. And I asked them, I said, hey, just curious. I said, how long are we going to be down there? They were like 12 hours. I was like, 12 hours? They said, yeah, it takes that long for you to circle down because it's 32,000 feet down. It's 3 miles down, 2.5 miles down. So, and you had to sign a waiver. There's nobody that could come rescue you. You're not tethered to anything. There's 4 sonars, which is what I didn't understand about the Titan. There's 4 sonars, and the submersible that we went in, the Mir 1 and 2, goes down in the middle of where those sonars are, and the sonars ping off of the submersible. Every time it pings, it adjusts where the head of the bow is. So just like an airplane pilot, constantly adjusting. So it hits pinging, he moves it a little to the left, a little to the right. And so when you come down, you're right there in front of the Titanic. I read that the Titan kept getting lost. I'm like, how do you get lost if you have the transponders? And this one in the submersible that I went down in, it had done 1,075 successful dives already. It was also in the correct shape because it was cylindrical. And when you have 6 tons of pressure on every inch of the submersible, you need it to be equal. Theirs was more shaped like that, which is unequal pressure. Plus, the windows have to be small. Their windows were very big. The small windows so that the pressure of the water cannot break through. Because the second, even a pinprick of water came through, you'd be sliced. In a second, you'd be gone, which is what happened when they imploded, unfortunately. But anyway, so I say to them, well, is there a bathroom down there? They go 7 feet. Well, first of all, going down, we picked straws who was going to go down. So it's me, the New Yorker. It was a Japanese woman and the Russian pilot. I said, it's like the United Nations going down here. And so we're the 3 of us going down. And so I said, is there a bathroom? They said, there's no bathroom, 7 feet inside. I said, what if I have to go to the bathroom? They go, don't worry. 24 hours before, stop eating. 12 hours before, stop drinking. I said, okay, let's say I do that and I still have to go. We give you a packet. I'm like, a packet of what? They go, we give you a packet, you put it up against your body, you wear a little skirt, you stand up on the seat, and you pee next to the pilot's head. I go, I am not peeing next to the pilot's head. I said, I'll wear it, depends. But then I'm like, well, there's only 2 other people in there. If they smell something, they know it's you. So anyway, so I didn't do it. We went down. As we get down, and now we see the bow. And it's so surreal because you see it in a movie. You're looking through a window and you're like, that's the Titanic. And the Russian guy, we're looking all through our windows, and the Japanese the Japanese woman goes, I need to take more picture. I need to take more picture. And the Russian guy is going, you took 1,000 pictures of the bow. We need to move on. And she goes, no, I'm not happy. I only 80% happy. I go, how are you 80% happy? She goes, I have idea. We back off. We take picture whole ship. He goes, no one ever take picture whole ship. Too big. She goes, no, we back up. He goes, I have better idea. Next time I put you outside submarine. She goes, okay. I go, you do realize he wants you to die, right? So anyway.
That was cool. Justin, yeah. That was so cool. Justin, you have time for one more question, so I'm going to let you have the mic.
Okay, so cool. So I just was kind of wondering, like, as I was hearing this, is there any place that you haven't been to yet that, like, you really want to go to?
It's interesting you say that because it's not so much places I want to go as always things I want to try. So, and I do want to also mention, just for your listeners, I do motivational speaking, and my show is called Love, Laughter, and Light, and I do it all over the world. So if somebody wants to book me to do that, and I tell these stories. So it's a combination of fast talking motivation and stand-up comedy. So you get all 3, and it's a 1.5 hour show. But so to answer your question, yes, I am actually in training right now because in April of 2024, I am going to Vietnam to trek 12 miles into the jungle to go into the world's largest cave, which is the Son Dong, Doong cave. It is so large, a 747 can fit inside the opening. Once we get inside the cave, we sleep in there for 3 nights because the cave is 7 miles long. And I would almost say there's parts you have to crawl, this part you're going to be wet the entire trip because you have to go through, you get leeches on you have to go through water, blah, blah, blah. And at the end, you climb out this huge wall that's known as the Vietnam Wall with rope. So right now I have a trainer 3 times a day. I jump rope twice a day, 2 minutes. I do 2-minute planks. I'm trying to do everything I can. And I'm going to now do December 2nd. I'm going to try doing a Tough Mudder race. And I just became a grandmother, but I call myself Fran Ma. So we're going to call ourselves the badass grandmothers.
I have a question. Wait, I have to ask. I'm sorry. Can I ask you your age?
You can, but I won't tell you. I say 37 till I'm 97 and sticking to it.
For real?
Yeah, I won't tell my age because I feel age does not define us, but the state of mind does. So hence, I'm always 37 till I'm 97.
All right, the reason why, I'm going to share something with you. You don't have to tell on this show, but it might change your mind about telling your age, okay?
Okay.
So the reason why I think it's important to tell people your age, like I have no problem saying I'm 62, and this is why. So my boyfriend passed away 12 years ago, 2 weeks before his 50th birthday, and we grew up together. And he
Wow.
would do anything to be saying, I'm 62, right? But hold that thought. When you tell someone your age and they hear everything that you're doing at your age, and I know you're not old, that helps them even more. Because too many times, I didn't write my first book until I was in my 50s. I didn't start radio till I was in my 50s. It helps people understand age is just a number and it doesn't matter. And you can do anything. I interviewed an author. She's gone now. She wrote her first book at 85 years old. She came live in my studio back then and wrote her second one close to 90 and then passed away. So I love hearing that so that people feel like they have hope. That just because of a number,
Right.
it's not defining them. They can do anything.
And I agree with you, and I totally agree with you on that. And it's like a running commentary because obviously people know my son is 35, so they could start doing some math there. But I always say the reason is because my mom was a big influence in my life. My mom taught me that nothing is impossible, and my dad taught me to never to always find the humor in things. And my mother said to me, "Pick an age and stick to it because mentally." That will keep you
that's
in
cool.
that mindset.
Okay.
So that is the reason I said, all right, well, 22 is too young. Nah, I'm not going to say 40. I said, all right, I'm going to pick 37, and I do it. So I have friends that are my exact same age, who obviously I grew up when they know my age, and I will call them and go, hey, we're going to go do this. No, we're older
Right.
now. I go, I don't know about you. I mean, I'm 37. I don't know how you turned that age, and now all of a sudden you can't do it. But I'm telling you, we could do it. And so I do it, honestly. I mean, if people get motivated by what I do, that's great, but they don't need to know my age
No,
to do
so-
it. Yeah.
And what's interesting is my birthday is 3/7, March 7th. So I
Cool.
love that. And 7's my lucky number, and I love 3/7. So that's weird. But
There you go.
that's great. And I love that mindset because I'm going to start doing something like that too now. But I'll still tell them the real one, but I'll say, yeah, but I had a poker league in Mercer County years ago. And I would run circles around these 20-year-olds. And I'm like, listen, they're like, how do you do it? Just stop moving. And I'm like, I can't. So I
It's
get
in
it.
us. The thing is, I truly believe one of the ways to stay always excited about life is to always have something new to look forward to. Because those people that you go, what's new? And they go, nothing.
Right.
Same day, same stuff. And then I'm like, oh my God, how could you live life like that every day doing the same thing? Aren't you curious about, I say yes, well, not to anything, only to the things I want, but in the sense of, like my husband likes, what do they call them? The cars are crashing, like the not bumper cars, you know what I'm talking about. Which one?
NASCAR?
NASCAR, the stock car race, where they're
Oh,
banging.
okay.
You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I'm like, sure, I'll go. And then I liked it. But the thing is, a lot of times people say no before they even try it. I'm like, but you don't know if you wouldn't like it. I know, I really don't like things. I went to Antarctica and I said, all right, this is the last cold adventure I'm doing. I am tired of going to the bathroom without a toilet. But in Vietnam, they're going to bring a toilet. There's no toilet. The top of Messiah volcano, there was no toilet. We had to take a crap behind a rock. I do want to tell people, for those people who are stressed for whatever reason, because of the way the world is today, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, that I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. I don't practice it, but I did create two meditations, a nighttime meditation and a morning meditation that literally can put people to sleep in like 3 minutes. And the morning meditation gets you started very refreshed. And they're for free at my website, Fran, F-R-A-N, Capo, C-A-P-O, like head of the mob, francapo.com. And the other thing I want to say is I've written 22 books. I consciously wrote those books, but the one book that I did not consciously write, but I was channeled, was this book called Hopeville, the City of Light. And it was channeled to me. I heard in a dream, get up, you got to write this book. It has a message that will change the world. And the book contains the 44 secrets of happiness. So just letting people know.
So, Fran, I can't believe you just said what you said. Well, first of all, I'm going to be checking it out because I need to sleep better. Second, I woke up to a voice saying, write your book. Wait till you hear. I'm going to share it with you since you said that. I woke up to a voice saying, write your book. And I smiled and I said, okay, Lord, you want me to write a book? Okay. I didn't know why. My father had Alzheimer's at the time, and me and my brother were his caretakers. So I fast every year for 30 years, once a month, for a month on water or juice. That's my thing, okay?
Wow.
I cured
Okay.
myself of 2 cancers many moons ago naturally. So anyway, I called my brother and my daughter up, and I said, all right, listen, you're on dad patrol this month. I'm going to fast. Okay. I didn't tell anyone I was writing a book, so I hand wrote it because that's, I call a friend of mine. The book was done in 3 weeks. I call a friend of mine. Her uncle was a publisher, and he's gone now. She came and typed it in the computer perfectly, blah, 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 blah. She says to me, okay, Jar, we're going to send this to a ton of different publishers. They may love it. They may not. It might take years. I said, no. Simon & Schuster. That's what I heard. She's like, okay. I said, only Simon & Schuster. God wrote this book. Sends it to Simon & Schuster. I said, put your number on as a copy with mine. 5 days later, Simon & Schuster calls. I'm on a 3-way with her. She says, are you sitting down? I said, why? It's Simon & Schuster. I already knew. But here's what happened, and I'm going to tell you why I had to write the book. I didn't know it, but 2 family members of mine needed my help. They say to this day, this book saved their life. It was at that moment they needed the book.
You don't ask the question why. I mean, I did actually. It was at 4:00 in the morning, and I was like, I don't know what book you're talking about. I'm in the middle of writing another book, and they're write this title down. So I scribbled, "Hopeville, the City of Light," and then I had it. Then I said, "That's it. I'm sorry. I'm tired. I'm going back to sleep." I went back to sleep, and the next day I had to take my kid to school, my mom to work, and my car was broken. I had to take it to a shop, and I said, "Can I sit here in the shop with my computer, while you're fixing the car?" They said, "Sure." I never in my entire life had writer's block. I've written 22 books, and I went to work on my Adrenaline Adventures book, and my fingers literally froze on the keyboard, and I'm like, okay, I can't sit here for 3 hours. I went, what was the name of that book? And then I had the paper, and I wrote, "Hopeful, the City of Light." Do not remember one word of what I wrote. I remember writing the word "the end," and then the guy saying to me, "Fran, that was weird. You didn't go to the bathroom. You didn't take a drink. You didn't even look like you were breathing." I said, "I think I wrote a book." He goes, "How do you?" I said, "I can't tell you one word that's in that book." And I let the book sit for 3 weeks, and then I read it, and it's a complicated story about a widowed man who wants to find, about an old man who has all this information he wants to give people, but because he's old, nobody wants to listen. About a widowed mother who's holding down 3 jobs, about a little boy who's getting bullied, and about a successful businessman because he's so busy building his business, he never found love. And all 3 of them on the same night pray, and an angel of light appears to all of them and tells them each what they have to do to change their lives in the world. And all the stories intermingle together.
It's beautiful.
And so then I said, well, I better get this book out there, because if I don't, I said, when I go to heaven, God's going to be like, "Hey, I gave you a book. What'd you do with it?" I'll be sweeping heaven. So I self-published my book, and it hit number 11 on Amazon.
Beautiful. So, guys, all right, we're coming to the close of the show. So I'm going to give each one of you, you'll each have another minute. Justin, how would you like to close? What would you like to say?
Well, like I always say, I say this in every interview. I want to give thanks to everyone out there who's listening. I want to thank Geri for continuously allowing me to come on her shows and co-host. And the biggest of thank yous to Fran for agreeing to take your time out of your life to have a conversation with us. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see what you got going on next.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Fran, the mic is yours for a minute, girl.
Okay, so what I want to say to everybody is, I know a lot of the stuff I do, people go, "Wow, that's cool," but anybody could do it. I'm a mom, you know what I mean, a girl from Queens. It's just be your best you and let nothing stop you. Nobody's words define you. You define yourself. Okay. And the thing is, my mom always told me, picture yourself in a little bubble. If there's negativity coming towards you and it can't get past that shield of the bubble. And I always just believe, just say yes, figure it out later. And what have you got to lose? Give it a try. Don't wait to the end of your life to say, "I wish I did something." Do it now. Now is the time.
Well, I want to thank you. I want to thank both of you. Justin, you know how I feel about you, man. And it's Justin's birthday week. Happy birthday again.
Happy birthday, Justin.
Yeah. And I
It
want
was,
to say,
it was a couple days ago, but thank you.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
well,
your
happy
birthday
belated
week.
birthday.
It's your birthday week. So anyway, I want to say thank you again for another incredible guest. Fran, listen, I couldn't wait for this interview, man. This is one of my favorites. You rock.
Thank you.
You are absolutely off the charts incredible. Thank you for honoring us today. So
Oh.
what I would like to do is close out the show with one of my poems. And the reason why I like to read this poem with certain shows is because everybody out there who's questioning their worth and everybody out there who thinks you have nothing to offer, you're wrong. Did you hear what this lady said? Did you hear Justin? Okay? Did you hear me? I want you to listen. Everybody has something to offer. Okay? So I want you to know your worth, but I want you to hear and listen to every single word of this poem. It's called Utilizing Gifts and Talents because we all have them. Okay? We are born with talents, we are born with drive, with different gifts to help us thrive. I knew early on I was born to draw and paint, to also write poetry and to talk without restraint, like this lady. Our gifts and talents should all be used, God's gift to us not be abused. We can go far in life for sure, using our gifts to go on tour. All our talents should be used to create ourselves and more, but then our job's to share them, to even up the score. You see, in life, what's needed is not just for ourselves. Once our gifts are mastered, take them off the shelves. A living we can make by spreading them around, not just for the money, but to spread a peaceful sound. Don't take for granted the gifts you're given. Go out and spread the joy. Our gifts are not to be held back for us to self-destroy. Put your efforts forth. Do not hesitate. All your talents, my friend, are never second rate. Never hold them back or you will surely die. Maybe not in body, but your soul will cry. Our gifts were made to share, our talents made to soar. Go through life enlightened and then you can roar. Be proud of who you are. Be happy you're alive. Once again, my friend, your gifts will help you thrive. By putting efforts forth, not keeping them at bay, your name, Fran Capo, will live forever, baby, forever and a day. So go through life enlightened for what you sure can give. To yourself and others is our reason to live. Our grave will be quite lonely, but our legacy lives on. So make sure people smile with the breaking dawn. And Fran, that's what you're doing. You are absolutely making people smile, making people laugh, making people say, what the heck? Are you kidding me? Oh, wow. All right? Never stop being you. Your parents did a great job. They're looking down, smiling, and your son is very lucky, okay?
Well, thank you. And my grandson,
yes.
he's in for a ride.
And your grandson, listen, your grandson's in for an incredible ride. My grandson is 22. My granddaughter, his sister, is 8. And she said something in the car to me the other day that I want to share with you that just took my heart. We were talking about something, laughing. I only listened to the Elvis channel. And she said something, and I go, thank you very much. And she starts cracking up, and she, of course, knows Elvis. And she said, I said, what are you thinking? You have this crazy look on your face. You have this, tell me. No, you'll be upset. I said, I'll never be upset with you. Okay, me, Mom, I think you're the craziest person in the world. And she goes, but that's a compliment. And I said, it sure is, and thank you. And I was like, wow. So listen, your grandson is going to say the same exact thing, and you're going to smile because you deserve it. So thank you.
I totally enjoyed Justin and you guys having me on the show. I totally loved it. Congratulations on your book and for co-hosting the show. I think it's great. And you know what? I like that your show is also about motivating people and not just it. You know what I mean? It's about motivating people too, which is good, which is what I always love. Make them laugh, motivate them, and go do some adventures.
That's right, lady. Okay, producer, take us out, baby.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is really true, is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the green